welcome back to Vintage Bungalow. In this video, I'm going to lay the new flooring in my sunroom makeover. Yay! I have been so excited to do this flooring, and what I chose is this beautiful vinyl peel and stick flooring, and it's done in dark gray and white, but it looks like marble. And I think that this is going to look really nice in this room, and it's going to beautifully complement the walls that I painted in the last video, which was a soft sage green, and I painted over some old plastic paneling, and oh boy, what a difference that made. But this flooring is just going to complement this room, and it's just going to be beautiful. Now the flooring is peel and stick, and it's vinyl, and I am laying it directly over vinyl flooring that the previous owners had put in about 2018. And yes, you can put peel and stick tile over top of existing vinyl flooring. I have done it in the past, and if there's one thing I know, it's how to lay peel and stick flooring. I have done a lot of it over the years. Also, in this video, I'm going to be doing a little wallpaper project. Behind me, you will see two little built-in bookcases, and I have 4 rolls of wallpaper, which you can also see behind me. And in my previous video, I unrolled all 4 of them quite a ways so everyone could see what they looked like. And I asked all of you, which one should I use? And so stick around for the end of this video, and you will see what everyone thought would be the best choice. And so, without further ado, let's get started. I have vacuumed and swept the flooring, and we also removed the radiator cover behind me to make it easier to lay the flooring down. Now the first thing that I need to do is fill in the gaps in this flooring. I'm not exactly sure why there's gaps. The previous owners had this professionally installed in 2018, and I believe that this vinyl flooring was glued down to the concrete, because this is a concrete slab because it used to be an outdoor porch. And for whatever reason, the tiles separated end to end but not side to side, which is kind of odd. Now there's a couple of reasons why this could happen. One is that they didn't get the tiles up tight against the baseboards, and over time with walking on it, it caused the tiles to move. So when you're laying your flooring, you really want to make sure that your flooring is up tight against your baseboard so that doesn't happen. Now the second reason then that could happen is because they didn't let the flooring acclimate in the space before they laid it. Now my new tile that I'm putting in, I've had in this house for a couple of weeks on the same floor as the sunroom, but it's going to sit in this room for a couple of days in this very room to acclimate before I actually lay it. It's really important to do that because heat expands and cold contracts. My guess is that this flooring was laid on a very hot day in the summer, and the tiles were super hot when they put them down. And then when the temperatures cooled off, the flooring shrank. And so that's my best guess as to what happened with the gaps in this flooring. Now also, you don't want any dips or any cracks in your flooring. You want a really level surface, and the reason for that is your flooring will dip and it can crack, and that happened in what I call the middle room upstairs. The previous owners put the same flooring in, and there's a dip in the floor. You can feel it where the flooring kind of goes like this, and it cracked, you know, from people walking on it. So this is why I'm going to use caulk, and I'm going to caulk all of these little places, you know, in between the tiles where it is separated. The caulk that I'm going to use is Dynaflex 230, and it's window, door, siding, and trim caulk. And it's ideal for wood composite and PVC trim. And this, I think, is going to work really well in here to fill in the gaps in this flooring. So that's next.
I started by filling in all of the gaps with the caulk, and the next morning we went through, and some of the gaps that were larger we put a second coat in, because sometimes the caulk will kind of, when it dries, it'll kind of shrink a little bit. And we filled in every one of these gaps in the flooring. Next, we needed to measure the room. to see what we had and to also to find the center point. And here is our center, and this is where all 4 of our tiles are going to start.
We just did a little drawing of the area and made it so that we knew we were going to put dark and light tiles, and kind of laid out like this. So we decided that the best way to go about it would be to find this center point in the room and start from there. Get that one lined up there, and then we'll put another dark one here, another light one here, and then from here probably just gonna go in long row.
So Rick and I worked together to lay the first 4 tiles, and then after that I was on my own. But you know what they say, 2 heads are better than 1, and we needed to make sure that they were right from the get-go. Now you will see a sign on the door that says arrows, and if you look closely you will see the paper on the back of these tiles have an arrow, and the arrow needs to be going in all the same direction, pointing at one wall, or in my case pointing in one corner because I'm doing this flooring on a diagonal. I'm using some glue, some super glue to put on all 4 corners just as some added adhesive for these tiles. And you can also see that I'm using a microfiber cloth to just kind of wipe the floor one more time before I place my tiles down. I also have this little roller that I'm using as well to help adhere the tile and get all of the air bubbles out. Then every time I came to a new row, I would place all of the tiles on the floor, making sure that the arrows were all pointing in the right direction before I got ready to put them down. It took me about a day to lay all of the tiles that didn't need to be cut. Now, when it comes to cutting the tiles, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can use a utility knife like I have here, and you can also cut these with scissors. However, I preferred using the utility knife. To me, it just made a little bit of a cleaner cut. It did take me a few days to lay this flooring, doing all the cuts. For various reasons, I wasn't able to work on, I didn't have full days to lay this tile down. And it is very time consuming to make all of these cuts. But if you take your time and do a good job, I mean, they're pretty easy to put in. Now here I'm cutting the paper around this tile, the excess paper, and then when I pull it off, I can use it as the template for my next cut. This little tool, now I wished I would have had this when I laid the floor in the camper and in the motorhome. This tool is amazing. This helps you to measure and to accurately draw out any cuts on flooring. This really worked well. And now I'm cutting the area that's going to slide underneath the radiator. And I'm really hoping to get this under here, but it's going to be a really tight fit. Now unfortunately, when I tried to slide it under there, one corner of the tile bent a little bit and it was just too tight and it wasn't going to go. And so I knew ultimately I was going to have to cut and piece this tile in. I did try, I laid out the tile first without peeling the back off to make sure it fit. And when it did, then I was ready to peel it off and stick it on. Next, I just took a little bit of caulk and I put it over top of the seam. And I'm telling you what, you can't even tell that this was pieced in. And actually this is under the radiator anyway, and no one's actually going to see it. You will notice on some of these pieces that I'm doing, I have some painter's tape with an arrow on it. And that's because it's easy to get them turned around when you want your arrows all pointing in the same direction. So I had a piece of tape on top of them to make sure that I didn't mess that up. And finally, this is the last piece, and it's always exciting when the very last piece is installed. Next, I decided to tape the tiles up around the baseboards all the way around the room. This is just one more way of ensuring that these tiles are not going to move or slip at all and that they will stay into place. Next, it was time to reinstall the toe kick.
And just like that, the floor is done. And the winner is this lovely blue wallpaper behind me. Now in my last video, I showed you my other choices that I might use in this sunroom based on a scrap wallpaper that I used for other projects throughout the years, and I still had a lot left. And I had this beautiful William Morris print wallpaper that I did in my upstairs bathroom about a year ago, 2 years ago. And I had this beautiful tree wallpaper that I did in the bathroom in our motorhome, and that I did a year ago, and oh, it turned out beautifully, but I didn't think it was right for the space. And then I had this beautiful pink, which I did in my granddaughter's bedroom, oh, let's see, maybe 7 years ago now, and I almost chose this one. This one and the blue were my two choices, but ultimately the blue background with the white flowers won out. And I have videos of installing both of these wallpapers, so check them out. They're here on YouTube if you want to see those.
First, I took some plastic and I taped off the area so that I wouldn't get water and wallpaper paste on any of my surfaces. And I also laid some plastic on the floor as well to keep that clean and dry. Now my first piece of paper, I just taped it up with some painter's tape because I wanted to get an idea of where the shelves were going to fit in relation to the print of the wallpaper, and I wanted to make sure that I was starting in a good point. The pencil and I cut it with scissors. Next, I took a bucket of water and I'm watering down the paper because this is traditional wallpaper and this is pre-pasted, which means you have to get it wet. And I actually really prefer what I term or call real wallpaper because I just think that it's better quality, and I don't mind the mess of the water. I think it's worth it. Next, I'm taking my wallpaper paste and I'm just taking a brush and I'm brushing it onto the wall. Now, if I was doing a whole room, I would have a roller, like a paint roller, to roll this on the wall. But since I was doing such a small space, the brush worked just fine. And this paste is just some added glue to help the paper stay up better. I've always used it and it works really well. Another thing that I like about traditional wallpaper versus peel and stick is that you can slide this whole piece around wherever you want to, and also if it folds in on itself, you can easily just pull it apart, and you cannot do that with peel and stick wallpaper. I decided that my next piece would be the biggest piece in the next area of bookcase because I was kind of concerned that I wasn't going to have enough paper to do this project, and if I needed to piece any paper, I wanted it to be the slim piece on the side and not the big piece. Here's a tip with your seams. You want to very slightly overlap them when you're putting them up because when the wallpaper dries, it tends to pull a tiny bit, and that way there won't be a gap between your seams. You can tell that I like to sew because I like using my cloth measuring tape. Also, I had just enough wallpaper left to complete this project without having to piece anything. I originally was going to use the pink based on a suggestion by one of my subscribers, but I just didn't have enough paper to choose that color.
The floors are finished and they look amazing. They turned out even better than I thought they would. I figured at some point my pattern might start to get a little bit wonky and my corners might not line up perfectly, but that never happened. I would highly recommend these tiles. I mean, they're really good tiles. They're sticky and they have a great shape to them. Like I said, it absolutely held my pattern all the way through this whole flooring project. And the wallpaper, it turned out beautifully. I am so happy with the way that it turned out. If you look closely, you can still see some faint little lines, you know, where the original paneling underneath kind of indented, but by the time I get my shelves up and all my little knickknacks on the shelves, you won't even notice that. So this is it for today's video. However, stay tuned for my next video because we're going to be putting in new lighting. We're going to be, I'm going to be doing new curtains for the windows. I'm going to be sewing them. I'm also going to be reupholstering some cushions for my beautiful antique wicker furniture that's going to go in this room. And it will also be the final reveal. So it will be part 3 of my beautiful vintage sunroom makeover. So if you haven't already subscribed, please considering so you can see the grand finale of this beautiful room. I also have a lot of really nice plants that I'm going to put in here as well. And oh, I am so excited to see this whole room come together. I have some artwork. I have a beautiful old antique mirror too that I'm going to be hanging in here. So I hope to see you all in my next video. And until next time, Rick and I would like to thank you all so much for watching today's video. We love you guys and we'll see you all soon. Goodbye.